When I arrived at an Airbnb on Elm Street, I felt that familiar thrill. The rain pounded on the roof of my car as I pulled up to the house, its windows dark and uninviting. I couldn't find the house key or get in touch with the person who booked it, and frustration started to set in. Just as I was about to leave, a light flickered on inside the house. I rang the bell, and a man named Owen Parker answered. He was tall, with a disheveled look about him, and he explained that he had also booked the house. His eyes, though tired, held a kindness that made me feel slightly less anxious. Since we couldn't reach the bookers, Owen invited me to stay while we tried to sort things out. Every hotel in the area was fully booked, so reluctantly I took Owen up on his offer. After a shower to shake off the chill, I joined Owen in the living room. He opened a bottle of wine and we settled in to talk. The atmosphere felt warmer, more inviting, as we shared stories. I explained that I was in town for a job interview with a filmmaker named Bridget Ryan. Owen surprised me by saying he had seen her last film, even though I thought no one else had. We bonded over shared interests, the unease gradually dissipating. That night, I was jolted awake by the sound of Owen gasping in his sleep. It sounded like he was having a night terror. I tried to wake him, but it only startled us both. Owen insisted he was fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. His denial seemed sincere, yet the tension in his eyes suggested otherwise. The next morning, I left for my interview. As I stepped outside, I was struck by how the neighboring houses looked abandoned and dilapidated. The contrast was unsettling. Elm Street had an eerie, almost haunted quality that seemed out of place in the bright morning light. My meeting with Bridget went well until I mentioned where I was staying. Her face paled, and she urged me to leave the house immediately. When I returned, a man named Daryl ran towards me, shouting that I needed to get out of the house. His urgency scared me, but I brushed it off, thinking he was just a local eccentric. Daryl's eyes, wild and desperate, haunted me as I closed the door behind me. I went about my business until I accidentally locked myself in the basement. My phone was upstairs, out of reach, adding to my growing sense of dread. In the basement, I found a rope attached to the wall, leading to a hidden door. My curiosity got the better of me, and I ventured into a tunnel behind the door. The air was cold and damp, the walls closing in on me. I discovered a room with a dirty bed, a camera, and a bloody handprint on the wall. The sight of the blood sent a chill down my spine, and I bolted back to the basement, desperate to get out. Owen returned just then, and I screamed for help. He managed to unlock the basement door, and I tumbled out, breathless and terrified. I explained what I saw, insisting we needed to leave immediately. Owen, trying to reassure me, decided to check it out himself. His calm demeanor felt like a lifeline, even as doubt gnawed at the edges of my mind. When he didn't return, I knew something was wrong. Gathering my courage, I followed him down the staircase. In the darkness, I heard Owen's panicked cries for help. I found him deep in the tunnel, claiming something had bitten him. Before we could escape, a horrifying, naked humanoid creature, the mother, lunged at us, killing Owen instantly. Her roar echoed through the tunnels as I ran for my life, the sound haunting me with every step. Days later, another man, Alex Harper, arrived at the house. He was a screenwriter in trouble, accused of a crime he denied. Desperate and needing a place to stay, he unknowingly walked into the nightmare I had lived. In the basement, he too encountered the mother and ended up in the same pit I had been trapped in. His confusion and fear mirrored my own, and I felt a strange connection to him through our shared horror. Flashbacks to the 1980s revealed the house's dark history. A man named Frank had lived there, kidnapping women and imprisoning them in the tunnels. The mother was a product of his monstrous actions, a result of generations of abuse. The walls of the house seemed to breathe with the weight of their secrets, each creak and groan a testament to the horrors within. Back in the present, Alex and I found ourselves at the mother's mercy. She treated us like her children, forcing us to drink from a filthy baby bottle. We managed to escape the pit, and made our way through the tunnels. The stench of decay was overpowering, and every step felt like a step deeper into madness. Alex was caught and dragged back, but I broke a basement window and was pulled out by Daryl, who had been trying to warn me all along. Daryl took me to a safe place and explained that Frank had been the source of all the horror. His eyes were filled with a mix of relief and sorrow, as if he had carried the burden of the house's secrets for too long. Despite his efforts, I was determined to go back and save Alex. The thought of leaving him behind felt like a betrayal, and I couldn't shake the image of his terrified face. When the police arrived, they didn't believe my story, thinking I was a strung-out addict. Their skepticism only fueled my determination. As night fell, I broke into the house again, determined to end the nightmare. I drove my car into the mother, knocking her out, but she wasn't dead. Her resilience was terrifying, a testament to the unnatural horror she embodied. In the tunnels, Alex discovered Frank's room, filled with tapes documenting his crimes. The sight of the tapes made my stomach turn, a grim confirmation of the house's evil. As Alex confronted Frank, the old man shot himself, leaving Alex to face the mother alone. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the tunnels, a final punctuation to Frank's reign of terror. I found Alex just as he shot me by accident, mistaking me for the mother. The pain was sharp, but it was nothing compared to the fear of what lay ahead. We escaped the house, but she was still alive, her presence a dark shadow over our every move. Alex and I ran to the water tower where Daryl had said we'd be safe. In a desperate move, Alex threw me off the tower, hoping the mother would follow. She did, catching me and cushioning my fall. But Alex wasn't safe for long. The mother killed him gruesomely before turning to me with a twisted sense of care. I grabbed the gun Alex had dropped, and with a heavy heart ended the mother's life. The shot rang out, a final, deafening end to the nightmare. Bloodied and battered, I walked away from the horror, seeking medical help and hoping to leave the nightmare behind. The storm had passed, but its aftermath would haunt me forever. As I stumbled through the rain-soaked streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that Elm Street's horrors would follow me wherever I went.